Neal and the special guest host, Attorney Jerome Payne. Live TV talk on your digital device on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question, our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome, with me.
What's going on, Daryl?
Man, another day in the neighborhood.
Absolutely, man.
Man, we've been off again for a minute, weather and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, got to give our shout-outs. Oh, I'm sorry. If you got Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire Stick, the SVP TV network app, or if you can go to Facebook Live or YouTube Live, and if you got any questions, we'll answer those questions right on the air, regardless of what we're talking about. And we're going to be talking about employment law today.
Yeah.
So, but we will, whatever questions you have, we'll answer those questions.
In real time, people.
In real
I don't
time.
understand. O'Neill, I don't understand.
I never understood the fact that, man, people call me all the time trying to get advice.
Yes.
So I don't understand when we're giving it for free.
It's troubling,
It
Daryl.
is always troubling to me. I'd like to give our shout outs to California, shout outs to Little Rock, Arkansas, shout outs to West Memphis, Arkansas, shout outs to Memphis, Shelby County, shout out to Mississippi, shout out to the great state of Missouri, shout out to Jerome's family, shout out to my
family.
Yeah. So, Jerome, we were talking employment law. And, and really the reason why that even matters these days is, we got a new president, and a lot of people are losing their jobs.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, the first question becomes, and when we talked last time, we talked about the government arena.
That's right.
And I guess we stopped off, we were still messing around in the federal, right?
Right.
So, in the state arena, let's go back to the city.
Okay.
In the city and the county, you have what they call civil service hearings.
That's right.
So 99% of the time, if you are a government employee working for the city and you get terminated, you have a right to contest that termination through the Civil Service Commission.
That's right.
If you lose, obviously you can go to Chancery Court to get a review and things of that nature. Those are a whole different ball of rules when you do that.
Yes.
But if you work for the state government and you're terminated, they have what they call grievance steps that ends in a final step or third step, and they call that the TEAMS Act.
And also there too, one of the things too that we always emphasize too as lawyers is to make sure you know what the handbook says on your job.
Yeah.
That's very important, because if you put out a handbook, if you say these are our procedures, you must follow them. And so many times we catch employers who have a handbook that they've never even read themselves, and so they step outside of it, because if it says that termination is progressive, then they must do the progressions,
Maybe.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I say that the first infraction is supposed to be oral warning, and then a written warning, and then the action is progressive, I think I hear they're hedging somewhat that you should follow whatever the handbook says.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, Jerome. What I do in every case that I do, and so let's back up for a minute.
Okay.
Jerome said something. The most disgusting thing in the world is for you to work somewhere and you don't know the rule book, you don't know the handbook, you don't know the rule books. We all play by a set of rules.
That's right.
The reason why we are able to drive on the street
No
It's because
question.
they have a set of rules
I like that, Darren.
identify
I like that.
how you drive
I like
and what
that.
you're supposed to do.
I like that.
That's the same thing with your employer.
Yeah.
They have these set of rules that that governs the work environment.
That's right.
Now Jerome hit this on the head, and I don't think I disagree with him. Most employers have in their handbook a progressive disciplinary
That's right.
policy. And progressive means that they normally want to take through the oral warnings, the written warnings, the suspensions, and then termination.
That's right.
Those are progressive discipline, but there's no requirement that they hit each step.
Oh, okay.
They can skip all the way to termination.
Wow.
Depending on what your scenario is.
You know what, Darren? I think that's absolutely correct. So you can't curse the boss out and expect for it to go through.
Get an oral warning. Or you can't come in and smack somebody upside their head and say,
and
yo,
that's
it's the first time.
That's right.
You get an oral warning
That's
on it.
right. And so, and that's what's so wonderful about the law, when we do the law, Darryl, is because, first of all, we got guidelines, but also is that we can fashion remedies, or we can fashion, in other words, the law is a sword and the law is a shield.
Yeah.
So if you make a decision that you are going to do something outside of the bounds of the handbook, then you're right. You can immediately be terminated for what? Insubordination.
Yeah.
That's one of those that
Yeah.
will get you terminated
Yeah.
right on the spot.
Yeah, and here's what ends up happening, Jerome. I tell people all the time, if you can get to a point where you can work out an agreement. So say, for instance, you've been fired. And, your agency realizes they screwed up.
Right.
So they want to do something lesser because they screwed up. Then what happens is when and here's what everyday citizens is. Everyday citizens are their own worst enemies.
Many times.
What happens is if the other side wants to negotiate, the everyday citizen believes I must have the greatest case in the world,
That's right.
or they wouldn't negotiate with me.
You're so right, man. We see that all of the time. And so, like you said, any remedy that I have some input on is a better remedy than one being forced upon me.
Yeah.
And so it's almost too like an automobile accident or any other thing. I tell people all the time too there, I say you can always go to court and get more. You can always go to court and get less, or you can go to court sometimes and wind up with nothing.
Exactly.
So you had something on the table. The employer was remorseful. The employer realized that maybe I should not have immediately gone to termination. So let's see what we can do to work this
Yeah.
out. Come on back to work, and I'll pay you.
Let's work through. And look, man, I've had some cases, man, and and sometimes I can't get the client
Just cannot.
to see things.
Just cannot.
Because we always used to joke. I didn't just joke, but it was so important that they always talked about it. A bird in the hand beats two in the bush.
For sure.
And the point of the matter is, we never know what any person is going to do.
That is so true.
When you try a case, most people don't realize this.
That is so true.
When you try a case, 80% of the time you've already lost.
That's so true. That's so true. Because what you've done is you have actually removed any kind of input you may have, and you're trusting into a third party to rule on your situation.
Yeah.
And that's never what you want.
Yeah.
And you're right. We see the same thing too in personal injury cases too. Once a person get their mind set on $1 million, it's the hardest thing in the world.
Oh, dude, I don't fire clients over that kind of stuff, man. I mean, yeah, because I've had people had medical bills of $5,000,
Right.
and say, and they offer a settlement of X, and they say, man, I'm not taking that.
Right.
So what do you want? Man, I want $200,000.
Right.
Dude, your medical bills are $5,000.
Right.
There's no damage to your vehicle or very minimal damage to your vehicle. I tell you what, here's what they've offered. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lien, and you can go somewhere else and see if you can get that $1 million or that $200,000.
Right.
I'm
done
not
with you, man.
I'm not trying. And it's not that I'm scared. No. I'm not trying stuff that's buffoonery.
That's right.
I'm not going to waste my time.
That is
so,
right there.
Here's what a person said.
Got a question?
Got a question.
Yeah.
I got coerced to leave my job after I had an inpatient hospitalization. Do I have grounds to sue for discrimination? I was permitted to come back to my original position. I was not permitted to come back to my original position. I was given 3 options: move to a much lower paying position and take a $5 pay cut, get 88 accommodations, or leave and get a severance. So, this man,
I like it. I like it. I like it.
So, what the person says, and this is the worst thing of all, under no circumstances should you ever quit. If you quit, 99% of the time you have no case.
I think that's true.
Because quitting means you made a conscious decision to leave.
I think that's true.
And in fact, unemployment says if you get terminated for your job for anything that's not considered misconduct, so if the company has a policy that you ain't never seen before, and that policy said if you late, they can terminate you, but you ain't never seen it, that's not misconduct.
That's right.
So you can get unemployment, but you can't get unemployment if you quit. Unemployment says is you voluntarily leave or you go terminated for misconduct.
Well, you know, Darren, I'm always on the other side of the underdog. So, and what I see, I think there may be just a little bit of wiggle room. If it's a hostile work environment,
It's not.
and I've become fearful for my safety.
Yeah.
Or if I'm a female, and I've already reported being sexually harassed by my boss, and nothing has happened.
Yeah.
And so now I've been told that if I come in the next day, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. So rather than do that, I just quit.
Yeah.
It's a mistake to have quit, but I can understand how he possibly could fashion some kind of remedy in that situation.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So here's what people don't realize. There is a such thing, you know, so what happens is people think that if the environment is a certain way,
Right.
I can leave.
I can leave, yeah.
And what's the term?
It's not hostile work environment.
No, I'm talking about when you leave work and because the conditions are so bad,
Okay.
and you worry about all these other things. I can't think of the name.
Okay.
It'll come to me in a minute. But here's the thing. The reason why that doesn't work,
Okay.
there is a lot of law out there that says that the only way you can quit, right? The only way you can quit a job because the environment is that way is if you stay, there's some issue that you would die.
Oh.
I mean, you know.
It has to be that serious.
Yeah. That bar is extremely high. And here's the reason why. If you have a medical condition that's being caused by your job,
I see.
your doctor will take you off of
I think that's correct.
And so you'll be in treatment, you know, for those things.
But you know, I just thought about I thought about a situation where, say for instance, you work at a fast food, at your Quick Stop, and it's been robbed. You were there, you witnessed a robbery. and so there are no protective glasses, like the shield where you work at, and so that's not the first time. It's happened a couple of times, and all of a sudden you say, you know what? They don't plan on doing anything about protecting us, so I'm not showing up anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, you can quit, but
That's
you
what I'm
can't
saying.
come after the company.
Well, I mean, because they won't take the protective.
Well, number
necessarily-
one, if it's a fast food restaurant or
I don't
any,
mean fast food. I mean like a quick stop store.
any of those places,
Right.
they are right to work. So you have no rights anyway. Yeah, they're the right to work. So because I'm not going to put up a glass, that's not
Protect your shield.
that is
That's not a requirement.
That is not a protected class.
Okay.
So in Tennessee, you can get fired for any reason or no reason,
Yeah.
as long as that reason is non-discriminatory.
I think that's the black letter.
Yeah. So
So what I'm talking about, the exception to the black letter,
why is that an exception?
because of my safety.
Man, it ain't. You choose to work or you choose to leave.
Okay.
That's your choice.
Okay.
If you work in a restaurant,
Okay.
if you work in public service, your chances of putting yourself in an environment that's going to be not good for you is possible.
Okay.
I mean, when you work with the public, you're basically saying, I am opening myself
Okay.
up to a potential hostile situation. I mean, that's just unfortunate.
Okay. I got you.
So that's what happens. So you assume those responsibilities, or you choose not to assume those responsibilities.
Well, but this is, I've been working there for the longest, and that's the only way I'm able to feed my family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, but I reached a point where I've asked, are you going to do something about protecting us? And the answer comes back is, yeah, we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden, you just say, you know what? I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to file for unemployment.
Yeah.
It's going to get denied.
It should get denied.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Because, now I take that back. There is some nuances where you could get unemployment. You could get unemployment after you quit.
Right.
So for instance, say the employer says, either you quit or I'm going to fire you, right?
Oh, okay, I see.
You will get fired anyway.
Right.
So quitting just gives them an opportunity where they don't have to pay unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why anybody fights anybody for unemployment.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, because it's you
pay for it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
the bottom line is that if you quit, you pretty put yourself in a bad situation where more than likely, as Mr. O'Neill said, you're not going to recover anything. So you should be looking for a new job.
exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. But the scenario. So I mean, and we went a long way around just to talk about this caller's question.
Right.
And the caller's question really was, so the first part of the question, I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
They quit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But they got a reprieve.
Well, what does coerce mean? What does that mean?
Well,
I was coerced into quitting. What does that
Well,
mean?
coerce means that they suggest that you should quit.
The employer did.
This employer suggested
Okay.
for whatever reason.
Okay.
And say, look, it'd be to your advantage to quit.
Because we're going to fire you. So
Because if you don't quit, you probably don't have enough leave, you don't have enough other stuff going on, you're probably going to get fired.
okay.
Okay, and so that's why they
That's the
kind of
coercion. I
incentivizing
got
you to quit.
I got you. Okay.
Right? But the problem with that is, in this particular caller's scenario, they got a reprieve.
Right.
And what happened is, they've offered
To bring them back.
bring her back.
Right.
So that's not coerced any longer. Maybe they were trying to get you to quit so you could be in good standing so you could come back.
Oh, interesting.
Now, when you come back,
Interesting.
here's what people don't realize. There is no job that you ever had that's guaranteed. You're not guaranteed any job.
Right.
If you work for the city, you work for me, you work for anybody, I got a job, it's going to pay X amount of dollars, You know, today you secretary, tomorrow you the janitor.
Right. And so there's nothing that would put you back in the position that you left. In fact, you might have a demotion when you come back, right?
So let me just see, when people talk about I have a medical condition, right? Here's what people think, and they're just wrong here. What people think is if I have a medical condition and the doctor has taken me off from work, I can stay off as long as I got a doctor's note. And that is just not true.
That's not true.
You know, so if you injured, you got a medical problem, you got something that requires you to be off, they have what they call family medical leave.
But you said injured now.
Injured
may put you into workers' comp.
Well, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Because the city, the county, their working problem is only 1 year. Their policy is not indefinite.
I got you.
So if you injured, you fall in a different policy.
That's right.
But if you are not at work because of some medical condition, or you've got a family member that's got some medical condition that is going to take you from the workplace, you get 12 weeks. Period.
That's it.
You get 12 weeks whether you got your own medical conditions, you got your mother's medical condition, you got your children's medical conditions. You don't get 12 for your mom, 12 for your children, and 12 for yourself. You get 12 weeks.
Total.
It doesn't matter
I
how
got
many
you.
issues you
I got
have.
you.
And if you miss, you are off to work, the doctor has taken you off to work, and the doctor takes you off of work for 12 months. After the 3rd month and 1 day,
You're gone.
you could be terminated.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the employer can give you an option to say, hey, look, and some good employers do this. Look, I gotta fulfill this spot. I need somebody to be able to work. Look, I like what you do. So if you tell me it's gonna take 12 months to get yourself together, then here's what I'm gonna do. You go ahead and quit. And then what I'm gonna do is when your 12 months come up, come back and holler at me and I'll find something for you to do.
Okay. Yeah.
May not be the same that you were doing
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
but I'm gonna give you something.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Because what ends up happening, 12 months and 1 day, they can just terminate you.
Well, 12 weeks.
I'm sorry, 12 weeks
Yes,
in
1 day. Yeah.
12 weeks in 1 day,
Right.
or 12 weeks in 1 hour.
Right.
They can just terminate you
Right.
with no recourse.
Mm.
Now, if 12 weeks end up and the doctor says, hey, you can come back to work with a reasonable accommodations.
That's what I was looking for next. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the doctor says, here's some reasonable accommodations that if you can provide to this employee, they can come back to work. Now, here's the key. It has to be reasonable.
Right.
You can't kind of say, you know, well, I want to be able to come back to work and come in when I want to come in and leave when I want to leave. That's not reasonable.
That's not reasonable. Yeah.
Or I can come back to work, but you need to put an elevator in.
Right. Right.
That's not
I
reasonable.
got you. I got you.
You know, I want to work on the 2nd floor, but all you got is stairs. So I know you got a 1st floor and I can work on it, but I don't like the 1st floor. I want to work on the 2nd floor because it's secluded. So my reasonable accommodation is you need to put an elevator in.
Right. That's not reasonable.
That's not reasonable.
Well, what about American with Disability Act? How does that come in there?
That's what it is.
Okay.
So the Americans with Disability Act says that if you have a disability, you put the employer on notice you have a disability, and you ask the employer for a reasonable accommodation.
Okay.
They provide that to you.
Right. Right.
And but if they can't, and sometimes they can't, you know, like say for instance, you say, you know, reasonable accommodation is I need to come in, I need to work, I need you to change the shift and give me a different shift. Like, you know, I know you don't work, your office is open from 7 to 3, but I need to be able to come in because I got these issues that I'm always out. I need to be able to come in from 3 to 10. I don't have a 3 to 10
Right, I
shift.
don't have a 2nd shift. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not making one for you.
Right.
You know, or I have 3 shifts, but my shifts are 6 to 2, 2 to 10, 10 to 6.
I got you.
And you say, well, I want to be able to work, you know, and I want to come in at, you know, 7 at night to 3 in the morning. That ain't reasonable.
That's not reasonable. I got you.
Yeah.
I got
So
you.
if you request accommodations, the employer has to give you these accommodations if they're reasonable.
I got you. So Daryl, in this environment that we're in now, where people are being terminated left and right, is there anything that people can do to somewhat shield themselves from these mass firings? 10,000 people, they're calling it. Plus, you have to write a memo to say what you've done in the last. I mean, what do they do there? Why do they have to just submit to this kind of?
Well,
it's abusive somewhat, isn't it?
Well, okay, so we're really doing a lot to do about nothing.
Right.
Okay, let me tell you the reason why I say
Okay.
that. In today's world is computerized.
Okay.
If you ask me what I've done today, I can go into my logbook, hit Clio, and it prints out what I did.
Right.
I mean, that's how simple that is.
That's how simple it is.
So let's not get there.
Okay.
Okay, because that's just nonsensical.
Okay.
I mean, in fact, that's the reason why people were allowed to work from home.
Right.
Because you log into the system tracks when you in, when you got keystrokes,
Okay.
and when your computer is idle. So we know what you're
I
doing
got you.
because we can see it.
Okay.
So me writing a memo, me doing this, it's a bunch to do about
I
nothing.
got you.
Now, here's where it's a problem. I'm just going to do a mass termination, mass layoff. Well, if I'm an employee that's under that umbrella, my first concern is who's laying me off.
Right. Okay.
If it's Jerome Payne laying me off, Jerome doesn't have
No authority to be
he
laying
doesn't have any
anybody off.
authority to lay me off.
Right.
So when Jerome lays me off, I'm going to file my complaint or my claim. Now, in the federal government, they have what they call the Merit System Protection Board.
Mhm.
So I'm going to file my claim with the Merit System Protection Board, and I'm good.
Right.
Now, here's where it goes awry. If they are downsizing, getting rid of jobs, I don't know that the MSP, I don't know if that protects you.
Oh my God, Gerald.
You know, in the city can just get rid of a job, and normally you would get civil service protection.
Right.
But if you didn't get fired, remember, civil service is discipline, demotions, promotions.
But what happened there? There is a rule. There's something in place that says that if a company is downsizing or something, that they have to give you so much notice before they actually take this action. What's wrong with that? Is that not?
Well, that's
enforced?
human.
Is that not
That's
enforced right
humane.
now?
That's humane, but I don't know that there's a rule that says that.
No,
you know.
it is. It is. Whenever a company is shutting down or something, that's what I'm talking about.
That's just humane.
Yeah.
There's no law that says that. You know, I don't know of any law that require. Look, is that the right thing to do?
Right.
Absolutely. But I don't know that it's required. I mean, Jerome, if I'm an at-will company, I can fire all the mugs. I ain't got to tell you.
Well, that's true.
But if it's the government,
Yeah.
it's under a different
That's
umbrella.
true.
And so what you're talking about is the governmental thing with
That's true.
Elon Musk
Yeah.
and Doge.
Right.
Well, Doge is nobody
Right.
because Doge hasn't been sanctioned by Congress.
Right.
And because Doge is not a congressional sanction or a legislative sanctioned organization, any layoffs or terminations by them would probably be able to be resolved.
At some point.
At some
point, the judges. But the problem is that there are so many Trump judges
Well,
in place now.
yeah, I don't know that that's a Trump judge issue. I think that that's really, that's a statutory issue.
But I really do admire you, though, Darryl.
What's that?
I'm not sure how you can walk that line like you walk. I'm not sure it's in the Trump judges. Have you not seen some judges' actions that reflect that they are leaning in one
no doubt.
political
No.
direction?
Dude, I don't. Not only Trump judges, I see that in the Governor Lee's appointments. I mean, come on now. But that's not how. You would have to luck out, right, and hit those people at every level.
I got you.
I mean, at the Sixth Circuit, it depends on what panel you got.
Right, that's true.
If the Supreme Court, now that's a primarily leaning,
Right.
you got a problem.
Right.
If they take a case to get you there.
Right.
But I mean, it's hard to get to the Supreme Court. But I mean, in the local one, just like the one the lady did in Florida, where she basically said the department, the special investigator has no authority because there's no statute to appoint them, right?
Right.
Where there in fact there is a statute to appoint them, and it went to the Court of Appeals and it got reversed.
Yes.
Or I don't know if it's got reversed yet, but it's at the Court of Appeals.
But it's there.
It's there.
But you're right. So they usually have like a three judges panel, and then if you get in bank, then that means all of them have to hear. Yeah.
All of them.
Right.
So, all right, y'all. Thank you for watching the show. Look, we'll bring you some more about this next week. I mean, this thing just takes a life of its own, and you know, load up your questions, and we'll answer whatever questions.